the Ayer Board of Health for May the 8th, 2023.
Sorry.
And just for reference purpose, this is not a public hearing. This is a meeting of the Board of Health. So in terms of dialogue and asking questions, that's not going to happen. So, and we're going to do everything as formally as possible. We usually have it more of an informal meeting, but because of the nature of tonight's meeting, everything will go through the chair. So, we all okay with that?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So the first item on the agenda is generally public input. And if there's anyone from the public that would like to say anything about anything, as long as they don't disparage someone, now's your chance to say anything you'd like to say.
I have some comments. It's on a further agenda item, but there would be public comments. So would this be the time to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Again, not disparaging anyone.
Understood.
Okay. And your name?
Brian Perweck.
Brian?
Yep. Town of Ayer Board of Health, in cooperation with Neshoba Associated Boards of Health, thank you for hosting this meeting and providing the opportunity for public comment. My name is Brian Perweck. My wife and I and our 3 school-aged children live at 108 Pleasant Street. We bought our house in 2003, and at the time, we were particularly attracted to the tight-knit residential neighborhood. Over the last 10 years, we have experienced a noticeable increase in the amount of trash and various forms of food waste that has entered onto our property. These items include plastic grocery bags, plastic bread storage bags, broken off pieces of stale moldy bread, in some cases the size of a tennis ball, animal feed bags. Our rear yard sits on the west end of our property, and prevailing winds are typical from west to east in this area. Inevitably, this is most often where we find remnants described above, which we can only assume originate from the property directly to our west, Ms. Maxan's property. In the past, we have had some success directly communicating our concerns on this topic to Ms. Maxan, to which, in most cases, she made an effort to improve. Unfortunately, more recently, our line of communication with Ms. Maxan is no longer productive. With the deterioration of our previously successful communication with Ms. Maxan and the growing accumulation of unsecured food waste in plain view, we've become concerned that the uninspected food storage and manure management is quickly leading to a public health emergency. With this, we respectfully request an explanation of the regulations, permitting, approval, and enforcement process for a property where livestock is kept. Furthermore, we would like to know if Ms. Maxan is currently in compliance with this regulation. If no, why not? Sincerely, Brian and Jamie Perweck. I have copies of this letter to circulate if you'd like it.
I think you should leave one for record. That would be good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Then we'll move on to the agenda. And I'm going to go to the first item on the agenda, being 17 Taft Street, which is Ms. Maxan. And we invited Ruth to this meeting. Why don't you step up here, Ruth? Come, you can join us at the table.
If you come to the table, come to the table.
I was going to give you one of these.
I'm sorry, I don't know you.
My name's Brian Burke. I'm Ruth's attorney. I was also invited to the meeting this evening as well.
Brian, we welcome you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, yeah.
So the meeting tonight, and you didn't have to come into this, Ruth, but we appreciate you coming here. It stems from numerous letters, I guess, going back to October of 2022 regarding the permits for your animals on your property. And your response to us in the letter was that we should deal with your attorney on that, and that your attorney would be here, and he is this evening. So nothing has changed on our agenda regarding the permits. We did ask our town council to be present as well, and I'm not sure if Janelle is Janelle up there?
I am. Thank
Okay.
you.
Hi, Janelle. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, members of the book board.
Hi, Janelle. This is Brian Burke.
So just moving along, so we're back at the same point in terms of the permitting for the property that we requested you submit a permit. That's where we're at.
Right. Well, by way of background, I guess the farm has been there since the 1960s, or maybe even earlier than that with Ruth's mom. And so, it's been like a family farm for all of this time. And my understanding is it's the only existing farm. You correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the only existing farm in Ayer. And so Ruth has been, kind of managing it herself over the years. And one of the more recent problems that she recently had was she had a hip replacement. So, if I may, it's getting it's kind of distracting hearing some noise. So if you could please hold back the noise, that'd be helpful. So with that being said, the last inspection that was done, she was pretty much recuperating, and then it was only a couple of weeks after she had the operation, and she was required to go out into the farm, and it was not a healthy situation for her. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody or anything like that, but over the past couple of years, she's had some issues that have drawn, some, her sense of not trusting the process, and her fear that there is some type of, conspiracy, if you will, for lack of another word, to get rid of the last farm in the town. And so she has these fears about this. And when she comes to me, she always seems to have, a sense of what she needs to do. She seems that she's very educated and very knowledgeable of the rules and the regulations in regards to having a farm, and the Farm Bureau, and like that. And so she seems to know what she needs to do. And every time something has been brought up by the board, I ask her about it. She seems to have a legitimate response to all of it. But it seems to me that with the way that things have been going the last couple of years, my observation is that there's been this kind of like a breakdown in communication. And it seems to have elevated to a more adversarial issue with the Board of Health and their concerns for the health and well-being of the neighbors, but also the health and well-being of the animals. And so the process, after talking with Ruth and a wonderful conversation that I had with Janelle, your attorney, and the Farm Bureau, and a few other people that are very knowledgeable in this area, it seems to me that there's a bit of a breakdown as to how she operates her farm and why she does things a particular way versus a way that someone would make a suggestion as to what would need to be done, versus, why wouldn't you use a trough versus feeding the animals in 4 different sections of your farm? Well, you don't want them all to converge at the same time on the food, because it's not safe for them to do that. So that's like, by way of example, some of the things that I think have not been communicated back and forth by the Board of Health and addressing your concerns versus, her process and what she does for her farm. So that has been coming on, and this new requirement, Section 4 for the permitting process, applying came in, I think it was 2018. And so that's around the time there's been a transition and a few other things going on. And I believe that there was also a farm that was eventually closed. It was an older gentleman. He seemed to had a serious decline in health, and legitimately so. The Board of Health went in there for the concerns of the animals and the surrounding neighbors and stuff, and identified true, actual concerns, and you took action to address those. But the bottom line was the result that the farm was ended up being closed and no longer existed. And it probably was because there was no one to hand it to, or it couldn't support the necessary things that needed to be done. But if you look at Ruth and, you know, where she's coming from, this whole permitting thing, you know, essentially started to become, to her, the process of getting rid of her farm. And that's why she's had great trepidation and proceeding with going through this process. And it's taken a couple of years. But I've talked to her about it, and what we'd like to do is, the permits are coming up for renewal March 31st. I believe it's this year? May 31st, I'm sorry. So, you know, we're gonna participate in the process for the permitting. Because regardless of whether or not there's a permit there, the Board of Health has the right to go and conduct these inspections, regardless. And it's only through the process of failing to adhere to the rules and regulations and requirements of the Board of Health and the state farming regulations that any farm in any community would be subject to enforcement. So it's not exclusive to her, although she may feel that it is. But the permitting process is something that's always been a fear to her, because if you can issue a permit, you can deny a permit. And we would like to be able to express to you in advance before, you know, if there are concerns that you feel that an application is not sufficient, that rather than just summarily denying it, have a conversation. Tell us what your concerns are. And if the concerns that you have are legitimate, which I would think they would be, that they'll be addressed. Or there'll be an explanation within the rules and the regulations and the guidelines of the state of Massachusetts that allows for a process to go forward on doing certain things to manage your farm. And then we could figure out how do we resolve the conflict from there. But she has a long history of being in this community. She has been a participant in many of the charities that are involved here. Some of the things that you see on her driveway are crutches and walkers and things like that that she collects, and when she gets enough of them, she and these other individuals put them on cargo, what do you call them, containers, and shipped them to countries down in South America. I mean, if that's a concern of how it looks, you know, we can talk about it and make some address of that. But you know, the short of it is, this farm's been here longer than all the people that surrounded her, and everybody moved in knowing that that farm was there, and there's benefits to it and there's disadvantages to it, especially if you're downwind when you're managing the manure on a day. Everybody knows that. So, you know, there needs to be some give and take and some understanding. So we know that the end of the month is the time to do it, and we'll, like I said, we're going to participate in the process.
So Brian, there is no adversarial relationship between this board and Mrs. Maxent or anyone else in this room or within the town. That's not our purpose. And correct me if I'm wrong, I was not on the board when this came up in 2018,
Yeah.
but there's been a lot of time to be in the process, and that just hasn't happened. So I'm hoping what you're saying tonight is that the process is going to go forward and the permit will be issued. But our interest is nothing more or nothing less than public health. We don't regulate how many farms there are in the town of Ayer or Groton or Harvard. As many farms as can exist, as far as I'm concerned, I think you'd agree with me on that. But it has to be done with the sensitivity of the people that live in the area, that there's not infectious disease, there's not rodents in the area. And I'm not saying there are, I don't know. But it's come to our attention that it is a problem and it hasn't been addressed. And I understand that there's health issues. We all have health issues. If you can't take care of it yourself, you can find someone to do it. But it's deteriorated to a point that this has to move forward. I mean, and you're telling us tonight you're going to go forward with the permit process? That's awesome. We'll give you the permit. We'll review the permit. The regulations for farms are very clear in terms of the bylaws of the town of Ayer. And if you don't have a copy, I'd be happy to give them to you. But it spells out exactly how it's supposed to be run from a public health perspective.
Right.
Nothing more, nothing less than that. So that's where we're coming from.
So
To the chair.
Yeah, and to all the members, I'm not suggesting that there is, out to get her or adversarial and in that sense. It's a true perception that an individual has based on the circumstances that she's been experiencing, and that's how it's been interpreted by her. And it may be true, it may not be true, but her perception is real. And so maybe as this process goes on, we can understand how that is, so that we can work together, because the bottom line is that she doesn't want to be responsible for public health issues that affect her community, and certainly you want to make sure that there aren't any concerns. I mean, because I've known Ruth now for a couple of years. I think it's been 5 or 7 years now. Yeah, maybe longer. And I find her to be a genuinely nice person, with a big heart. So especially when she does things like take, horses that are at the end of their use, and she saves them and gives them a little longer life to live.
It seems that this is getting a little off topic.
But I mean, I'm just trying to say to you, her perceptions are a little different, but it's not adversarial.
Brian, I respect that, and I guess I'll ask if there's any comments that Trish or Bridget or Pam want to make, because I've done all the talking, so if there's anything you'd like to
I
say.
have a question for clarification.
Through the chair.
Through the chair, absolutely, through the chair. Could you explain what you mean by participating in the process? Will you be submitting an application
Yes.
to the Board of Health permit? Okay. And you're going to comply with the regulation?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there any reason why we had to come here to find that out?
Well, I've been on vacation recently, and I've only had an opportunity to speak with Janelle today, and
As Steve pointed out, I think our last meeting on this topic was in 2008, and there's been a lot of communication back and forth.
2008.
So, 18, I'm sorry. So we are looking for a little, just like Ms. Maxon is looking for some confidence that we are dealing in good faith. We're looking for the same.
Okay, that's
And
great.
we don't see that when it's just total radio silence for years.
Well,
But be that as it may, we're talking about today. So let's get today
Through
resolved.
the chair.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I, by way of example, on this whole thing, by way of a recent inspection where it was suggested that some animals were in terrible condition, and a vet was called for an immediate visit. And the vet showed up and said, there's nothing wrong with anybody, any of the animals here. What's going on? Why am I even here? So that was a concern. That creates this sense of distrust, to be polite about it. It does. And so that's how she has to interpret it. And it's everyone else will have a different interpretation. I could take the converse of her and say it's better to be safe than sorry, but she's being told she should be paying the vet bill for something that wasn't necessary. So,
Brian, in the interest of moving forward,
yeah,
we understand where you're coming from.
yep,
You understand where the town is coming from and the Board of Health.
yes,
You've said you're going to participate in the process, and the farm will meet the bylaws and the regulations of the town of Ayer. And that's all that we care about as they're related to public health. So the permit will be coming up at our next meeting most likely, or within the next 60 days. We need to get together and have an action plan that cleans up the property as well to meet the standards of the zoning bylaws. And I guess I would let you get back to us and explain what your time frame should be to get that accomplished. But this is not going to be months or years. We're talking about compliance with the town of Ayer, plain and simple.
and that's fair enough.
Okay. Do we need to invite Ruth back to the meetings and you, or can we do this through correspondence through you?
You could do it through a phone call would be easier. That's the best way to deal with it,
That would be great.
Just call, tell us what the concerns are, and we'll address them.
Okay.
As long as they're legitimate.
We'll look for the permit. If you need a copy of the bylaws, which I'm sure you already have.
I do, yeah.
But they're available for you folks as well if you want a copy of the bylaws. You're more than welcome to them. Let's get this cleaned up and make it appropriate so we have a great farm in the town of Ayer. And we probably do have a great farm. Let's make it according to the bylaws as well.
Okay.
Okay?
I have a question through the chair.
Sure.
Is there a reference point somewhere where a similar situation or something in writing that we can use for point A to point B finish? How the process begins and ends and what the time frame would be?
I think, Trish, we need to get the permit.
Okay.
And the permit opens the process of review and inspection.
Okay.
We need the application.
And we need the application.
Yeah.
It's the application.
Okay.
And the application's, it's, a page and a half?
Yep.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
it's
it's easy.
very simple.
So can we expect that by our next meeting?
I'd like to say yes, but
Well, then just say yes.
I have to talk first with Ruth, but I also have several trials coming up, so.
The application's a simple process, Brian.
I know you say it is, and like I said, it's not a very long and cumbersome one, so I'm sure that we could get it to some draft form. When's your next meeting?
The 23rd, I believe, isn't it?
2 weeks.
22nd?
2 weeks?
Yeah. 2 weeks to fill out a page and a half?
Yeah.
I bet you could do it in 10 minutes.
Probably. But I'll work with Ruth. We'll do our best.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to it at the next meeting, hopefully.
Okay.
And then we'll start the process of meeting the requirements under the bylaws. In no adversarial way whatsoever.
Well, that's great.
Steve,
Ma'am, are
through the
you-
chair? I just want to
Absolutely.
make sure Janelle doesn't have any.
Oh, Janelle.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you have any questions, Janelle?
I don't, thank you, Mr. Chair. For what couple of points of clarification. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. One, to Attorney Burke, would you like correspondence and communications to flow directly from the town officials and employees to your office rather than to Ms. Maxon?
Would you prefer? Yeah, they can go to me.
Okay. And obviously, I appreciate the board's time tonight and Attorney Burke. We did have a phone conversation earlier, and just for point of clarification for the board members, I did provide him for his background, the recent correspondence back from 2022 forward relative to this matter. So those records have been provided earlier today to Attorney Burke. So I just wanted to clarify that for the board members as well.
Great. Janelle, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else to come before us as relates to 17 Taft Street, then our matter is closed for this evening.
Well, thank you very much.
Brian, do you have a card with you?
I do.
Okay. You want to take a 5-minute recess? Do you need it? Break?
You can have it.
No, I don't need it.
Thank you, members of the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're going to take 5 minutes, so it's
fine.
5:59. We'll reconvene at 6:05.
Fine.
Your Board of Health is back in open session. Under old business, we had the harm reduction program, and just to give you a quick update, the state sent a notice back to Neshoba today, I believe, saying that the vans are way back ordered. They have no idea what the time frame would be for getting it for Ayer or for Berlin, and they'll look at other alternatives. So right now, we don't know what that is. The only thing we talked about was the van. The library has this as an agended item to approve it on Thursday night. I guess they can still do that, but the latest and the greatest is there is no van.
But isn't this putting the cart before the horse? You get everybody all whipped up, and we had all this great feedback from doctors and DPH and everybody like, yeah, let's go, and then but we don't have a place to go, and we don't have a thing to put people in.
No.
So I totally agree with you, Trish, you know, but it is what it is.
I know,
So
and just, it's disappointing.
I think, you know, we were proactive in saying, sure, let's go forward.
We were, as a board, I have to say we were.
Yeah. Well, and at least we've got, and that groundwork isn't really going to change if they suddenly can come through with a van somewhere.
The other thing under old business is Sandy Pond. Seeing how we had the problem last year,
Yeah.
Are you a mind reader? Today, I drove
Great
by.
minds. What color is the water?
it's green. It looks just like it used to. No.
Like, do I have the wrong glasses on? That looks good.
The water looks fine, but I think we should have it tested
Yeah,
before the beaches open. And I would think any time from now through June would be great if we can.
Yeah. I would
When do
think,
they open? It used to, it was
Memorial
Memorial
Yeah,
Day,
always
right?
was Memorial Day.
So you're okay with the billing associated with it?
Absolutely. Yep.
We have to, really, we have
Okay.
to.
Yeah.
It's too many questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you want to vote to?
Did we vote
Do we
for
need to-
that?
I could do that.
Okay. Is there a motion to do a water quality test on Sandy Pond prior to it being open for public swimming?
So moved.
Is there a second to the motion?
I second it.
Motion's made and seconded to do water quality testing on Sandy Pond prior to the opening of the
Yes.
beach. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is that good enough?
Yeah. Am I doing the testing?
Well, you're going to make
Who
the
does?
arrangements. So. Thank you.
Yep, no, I'll do.
On the amended agenda, you had under new business, Air Emergency Dispensing Site, MOU.
So we're in the process of updating all the information for the Region 2.
This is for
So-
the emergency action
Yeah,
plan.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you just have to sign it, and then from here, we take it and send it to the, I'll find the superintendent.
Okay. It's the same basic plan that we've had in the past.
Yeah,
It's just like
nothing's different,
refreshing
yeah.
the agreement or. yeah.
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay.
Is there a motion to sign the MOU for 141 Washington Street as the emergency dispensing site under the emergency action plan?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Awesome. Motion's made and seconded to approve the MOU. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. is that street address, like, are there different street numbers depending on whether it's Hilltop or the high
think so.
school?
Yeah, well, 141 is the high school. It's the main camp, now it's a campus. or
Yeah,
it
that's
was
what
a
I was
campus,
wondering. Is
yeah.
it like all under one?
Yeah, I think,
I thought Page Hilltop was 115.
Oh, okay.
really? That's a big discrepancy in numbers. Huh.
It is, yeah.
Whether it's true or not, that's just.
So
Yeah.
the other thing under new business was an unlicensed food truck that came into the town of Ayer. No, was possibly coming into the
Possibly.
town of Ayer. And at the end of the day, the business that was asking the food truck to be here asked them not to be here. So the issue of telling them or having them removed was averted. Bridget, you did an awesome job with that, so thank you. I also reached out to the owner of the business. I talked to him and I said what I said. He was very cooperative and there was no argument at all. And I think he found an alternative at the last minute, so.
How did we even come to be aware of it?
So 420 is a magical date, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Which I know nothing about. It's April
Oh,
20th.
you haven't lived.
Obviously. So anyhow, it was.
You're a pharmacist, Steve. You should be better at this.
Don't do that stuff.
That's organic, not organic stuff.
So anyhow, it was all centered around the
It's like a
four.
festival kind of
Used to be
thing.
more.
It was centered around
Yeah.
that, and I think that the person that was a spokesman cooled their jets rather quickly, which was appropriate. Yeah.
Okay.
So we don't need to belabor it. It
No,
didn't
came and
happen.
went.
Okay.
And they're done that.
So
Yeah.
from Neshoba, Bridget, you have town meeting tonight. So, what did you have anything to bring up from Neshoba?
So there were just some inspection reports, nothing too crazy, right?
We have inspection reports for Neshoba Park, Taco Bell, Air Shop and Save, and Pauline's.
And they're all approved. Okay. Do we need to sign those or? No?
That is for your records.
Okay.
Some temporary, it permits the Grateful Dog, which is up over that way, I forget the address. Littleton Road, that's her permit. And then is there,
And there's another one for John's Le Dip.
okay, the ice cream truck. So they're not necessarily air-specific permits,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
because they're mostly in air.
But they can do
I just
business
gave you a
anywhere with
copy,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So what's the scoop with the ant thing? The ant complaint?
Yeah. Good question. Apple Valley?
What was it?
How did I miss that? Ant or rat?
Ants.
At that facility?
I did send it to you.
No, you know what, sometimes, let me go. I didn't even see it. I can pass it on to Tamara, because it's not, we don't inspect the facility.
It's DPH, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So unless it's a kitchen issue, I usually just have Tamara.
Yeah.
Because there was something
Oh,
about
right.
a rat issue.
Oh,
The same place?
Yeah.
All right.
So
yeah, but that's true. You only do the kitchen.
you'll pass that on to Tamara then?
Yep, I'm just gonna go back in here. I'm sorry, I didn't even see it.
I can always resend the info. I've got more upstairs.
I'm just gonna go in here and see if I can find it. I'll just forward it to Tamara.
Okay.
No,
You have anything else from Neshoba or? No?
I don't think so.
You just, you gave me a few more
We have-
things.
Oh, the MOU, did you give me that back?
I have
So the call log, do you have any other questions on the call log? The only one that jumped out at me was the ant thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that's military.
What's that?
Needles in military? What is that?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. He called, he was looking, he is at a military installation. I couldn't quite tell if he was on Devon's or not.
Oh.
It wasn't clear.
Oh, okay.
And he was looking for a place to dispose of
Oh,
needles,
okay.
at which point I said, that's not.
And they still
called.
do that down here, don't they?
I said, call Neshoba, they'll be able to tell you more. And then he actually fought me and said,
guys-
they sent me to call you. And I went, no, yeah.
Oh, geez, yeah.
So, that's about it. There's not.
All right.
Anything else?
No?
Can, on that note, just a curiosity, can you still take shops to, like, the police station and
don't know.
drop them there, or no? Do you know,
Take 'em
Bridget, where?
There.
I know you guys do, but are there
I
other?
think, I don't think at the police station,
Think so.
but I think certain CVS.
We used to take them to the hospital at one time.
CVS
Okay,
too.
okay,
used-
yeah,
I-
CVS, all right.
I don't know if CVS still does it.
don't.
There's a charge, right? There's a charge for disposal.
I don't know.
Some,
I thought there was a $10
some
charge.
CVS's will do it, but not all. So.
I mean, even through the Board of Health, I thought there was years ago, if I remember bringing in the container from my aunt.
Yeah. Do you guys charge
$5.
$5 for a container or for?
It's the one, that's a,
Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah,
little,
the good size.
the lunchbox kind of.
I know, like the ones at the hospital, yeah.
That seems like a fair price.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have the minutes from April the 10th. I kind of reviewed them. I didn't see
Yeah,
anything that
I
jumped
didn't
out.
see anything remarkable either.
Okay.
Is there a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of April 10th Board of Health meeting.
I second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the minutes of April the 10th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do you have an official copy you want me to sign, or just,
Do you
Oh,
want
yes,
this one,
I
I
Steve?
can, yeah, anyone?
Take that one.
And bills, tobacco permits, animal and
Yes.
fowl permits.
I have all kinds. I don't have any bills, so you're good for that.
Oh, that's good.
And we've received no mail beyond the usual death certificates that I get. We have a new tobacco permit. This is a new store that is opening near Barnum Road Liquors. I think it shares the building. So he did apply. He has applied for a business certificate.
Is it a convenience store?
No, it's just a smoke shop.
It's a smoke shop.
Oh.
There used to be a real estate office in there at one time.
He
Peter
filled out
Warren
the
from Harvard
form.
had.
He
Yeah.
found it online. He did it himself.
Okay.
He's applied for a business certificate. It hasn't been awarded because he can't.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to accept the application and issue a permit to raise smoke shop?
I'll make a motion to accept the permit and accept
The application?
the application and
Issue.
issue the permit for Ray's Smoke Shop. Is that what it
I
is?
second.
Ray's.
Motion
Yeah, raised smoke shop.
made and seconded to approve the application for Ray's Smoke Shop. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 'Tis a vote. And
Chickens.
chickens.
I have chickens.
Yes.
We have received 9 chicken applications. Everyone is returning. They have all had chickens in the past, so they filled out their
They're
forms.
repeat.
Chickens have.
They're all
come to-
repeats.
There you go.
Huh?
So no new chickens?
No new chickens.
Pretty
And I
lonesome.
did receive a
They've been
letter
pretty easy.
from an Angela. She lives at 5 Groton Harvard Road. She had chickens in the past and she no longer has them. So she did inform us she no longer has chickens.
That
Very
was
nice.
very nice.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Angela.
And I will say the online permitting and online bill paying has worked out fabulously.
Great.
I'd say at least a third of those came in.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We have
Great.
33 Groton Shirley Road, Rebecca and Michael Audette. James Steves, 32 Calvin Street. Jennifer King, 7 Union Street. Jeff Tillison, 15 Oak Ridge Drive. Julie Burquist, 4 Moore Drive. Misty Williams Fritz, 7 Harvard Road. Joshua Bookman, 47 Highland.
Wow.
David Rockwood, 18 Wright Road.
Lots of them.
And Jose Maldonado, 72 Washington Street. Is there a motion to accept those permits as?
I'll make a motion to accept those foul permits to the Board of
A
Health.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So, I think that's it, right?
Yeah, that was the end. I did have one thing I wanted to bring up. I would like to, and I will send this all to the board. I got it right before the meeting. I got an update on our current financial status as the Board of Health. We do have quite a bit of money in supplies, and I was wondering if I could look into buying some new file cabinets that take up less space.
It's good to meet.
Hey.
My initial research
It's a worthy pursuit. Yeah.
my initial research for the 2 cabinets I'd like would be about $600.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. Well, that's what the money's in the budget
Yeah,
for.
that's what it's for.
And I bought another ink cartridge. If you guys buy ink and you print stuff, get
Yeah,
reimbursed.
I don't usually.
Print
I
enough,
read
yeah,
them,
that's
and then
it.
I come down, and Sam usually.
Yeah,
does
I've
the stuff,
gone
yeah.
to, right, using Sam's, I just bring,
I haven't printed anything since some of the litigation stuff that, and it was like page after page. I'm like, this is crazy.
yeah. That's usually what I print too.
Yeah.
If it's something I have to like
Yeah,
do or make notes on.
hopefully
but-
done with that,
Is there a
so.
motion to adjourn?
You just reminded me of something through the chair.
Late?
So is it okay to renew the membership for MHOA, Mass Health Officers Association?
God, it must be, right? Do we have to vote on that?
No,
I don't know. I just figured.
it's in the budget.
And as it
Yeah,
is,
that's true, yeah.
the supply budget for the Board of Health was $2,000. At this point, we've spent $150 on ink.
So part of that was so if there was a seminar that anyone wanted to go to,
Right.
they
Yeah,
could go to it.
yeah,
So,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, I think there's one coming up in Vegas, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, and the budget renews July 1st, so you'll be. I would.
But that was the purpose of the
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And going forward, I might be able to attend them next year,
Cool.
whatever, yeah, so.
And you never know what you're gonna need for office stuff.
Right, and if it makes it easier for Sam to, shuffle things
Yeah,
around and
well-
just make it easier
I've
for
done a
you.
lot of measuring.
Oh, I
It's-
bet.
If I do this, I'll actually have more drawer space, but they'll take up less room this way, so then the building department can have some more space.
Oh my gosh,
Every little inch.
we should make Charlie pay for them.
Oh, he will be paying for his own. The building department files are so tight that I can't get anything in.
Oh, they have so much paper.
So we still need to adjourn.
So
Oh, how many
did
chickens do we have left
Thanks.
outstanding? Are we
we vote
pretty
on the
caught
motion
up?
to adjourn?
We're about halfway.
Did we vote on the motion to adjourn?
No, I just asked her though, a question though.
Let's adjourn, then talk about
Okay, let's adjourn, all right.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second, yes.
Motion's made and second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Thank you very